Yeah, yeah, he's going to be in Vegas for.
Oh, okay, cool.
All right. We're good.
How are you?
What should we say the title, Matt?
Single deal retirement. 250K net profit per year on a single deal.
There you go.
You retired 2 families off that.
Yeah, retired two families off that.
Yeah, no kidding, right? So I think we might actually be live on YouTube already.
Well, hey everybody!
Well, hey,
on
everybody,
YouTube,
if
what's
we're
up?
live.
Just let me know, Tim. Let's get it started.
I was about to say, I think I just need to click go live. Hold on. Lucky nobody's listening on YouTube yet, so we're good. Hmm. So weird. Well, let me post it.
Won't let you go live in the group or live on YouTube.
We're live on YouTube. It won't let me go live in the group for some reason. It says complete post details, but everything's there. Oh, description required.
I think live in the group would be more effective for promoting them than live on Facebook even. I mean, live on YouTube.
100%. That's why I wanted to get this dialed on. We have one viewer on YouTube. Welcome. We are live. We're about to go live on Facebook.
Yeah.
Hey, hey!
All right. We are live. Go ahead, Matt.
All right, guys. We are stoked. We're fired up. We have David and Katie Hughes with us today. This is a couple that embodies the stuff that we talk about here on this channel, which is how do you get retirement level income 100 deals or 1,000 deals, but on like a couple deals, or in this case, one deal. These guys are overachievers. They have created 2 retirable incomes on a single deal, $250,000 a year net on a single property purchase. Thank you for joining us. Get us into the details. How did this deal come together? How did it unfold? Give us the nuts and bolts.
Absolutely. Well, first, thank you guys for having us. We're
Yes.
thrilled to be here and
So
share any
great.
value we can. I mean, real estate is the jam. As you all know, that's why you do what you do to help as many people as possible, because it's been radically life-changing for us and so many others just like you guys. So yeah, on this particular deal, the nutshell of it is it's we live in Sarasota, Florida. So we actually partnered with students of ours. So a couple keys to know about it. It was their first deal ever. So not just to your point of one deal, but first deal to stumble, fumble, bumble, scrape your knees, and lose money and time, and then you get to that one home run deal. Like they're living proof. We're living proof. Like there's lots of people that are living proof that you don't have to. And a lot of people, even experts, will tell you expect to have to make 100 offers to get one and get this many properties and everything. Okay, that might be true for them in their reality. What they're projecting to you is their reality, their truth, right? It doesn't have to be your experience, your path, your journey, right? So we're just here and excited to share with you all that this can be you, right? These were brand new investors, students of ours, who they had never owned any investment properties. Okay, they both work, homeschool mom, as well as she was an interior designer, and she was an Airbnb super host. So she was around it, around other investors and that kind of thing. Her husband in law enforcement, But really, so the first key is partnering, right? Just hitch your wagon. Like, so for them and for us, it was a dream for them and us, right? So the thing is, like, we're here in Florida. They learned some things that we taught them and they sourced a property. It was actually on the MLS. So a lot of times, and we teach buy properties that are not for sale, the off-market properties, right? And that's great. We do that. We teach that, and that's awesome. But don't forget, as long as you know, have the right lens of how to look and think about opportunities and create opportunities, there are still deals always in any market to be had also in MLS. Actually, this was at the peak of the market as well, about a year ago. But so the property is out west in New Mexico. And it was
So let me get this right. You're doing a deal with someone. It's their first deal. You're not even in the same state as these people.
We've never even been to that state.
the
We've never
best
even been to
part-
that state
Yeah, never even been to New Mexico
at that time.
Have you even met these people physically that you're partnering with?
We had not
person,
met them in person.
We had not met
We
them.
had not met them in person.
Yeah, at that point, because that was before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let me get this right. You're buying a property in a state you've never been to with people you've never met in person. And I'm guessing here, and I want you to expand on these details, that essentially the money's probably coming from you guys.
Yes.
So you're about ready to wire a significant amount of money, potentially.
Multiple
like,
six figures.
multiple six figures. Like, this is nuts. So give us, like, what is the deal? Is it a house? Is it like, what are you guys buying?
Yeah. So 40 acres with 7 log cabin style homes. Amazing, beautiful log cabin style homes.
Hand built from
hand-built.
wood on the land, like the quintessential log cabin. And they're all super, super unique. And a couple of them actually are over 100 years old. Women had babies in them. Like, there's just amazing history there. It's a really incredible, unique property.
Yeah, so it's all leverage, right? We're leveraging her expertise as an Airbnb superhost and interior designer to be able to make them look beautiful, and Katie Marie. So that's that piece of the puzzle, right? But for them, the big gap, of course, and the listeners here, we all have gaps, right? So their gap was very little, next to no knowledge necessary for a deal anywhere near this magnitude on the knowledge side and the financial capacity.
Zero
right?
when they came to us.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
had zero. Yeah.
So we stepped in and filled that on the knowledge, experience, and the negotiating and deal structuring. We set it up on seller finance, so we were able to custom craft an arrangement that was win-win for everyone. And because of it, and the game plan was to go ahead and get them renovated, which we are finalizing now on this renovation project throughout the ranch and the properties. And so it's conservatively set to produce $250,000 at least a year in profit just off this one property, which was the 40 acres and the 7 log cabin home. And the other part that's key to know is people are like, man, to get $250,000 a year profit, like, what kind of price point is that? Like a couple million return. We purchased this at, like, what was it, $450,000 purchase price.
Yeah.
So that's another key that people know. It's not just about huge cash on any size deal, but what about the huge cash flow relative to low barrier to entry on a price point? I mean, you think about that and you combine those two components, and then you throw in the component of just a partner who can do the heavy lift, which we did on the negotiating, the deal structuring, the funding, now, but they're out there so we bought it sight unseen, had never even been to the state, never even saw the property, closed on it. We've been out there since multiple times, and it's incredible. But they're out there running the day-to-day, right? And they love it. They're in a beyond their dream situation. They text us. They literally say, like this is beyond all of our dreams. We didn't even know this life is possible on their first deal. So anyway, you can tell we get excited about this. So yeah, know about the deal.
Let's start with the particulars, and then we'll get into the dreams and the vision, which is the fun part. So the particulars are $450,000 price. How much did you have to put into the deal to make it ready to rent out?
Renovations, including furnishing out, right? Because these were vacant. So furnishing it as furnished Airbnbs. Total about, we projected and budgeted for $150,000 renovation and furnishing all of them ready to go. Now, once we got into it, one of the decisions we made was to go ahead and add like a epic solar deal.
Farm
solar. So most of the cabins are actually completely off grid with their own, well, they all are on well, And then, but now with solar, we've got, I think, 5 of the 7 cabins, which are completely self-sustained, off grid. So we threw another 80 into it on that note with the solar. So all in all, let's say, 230, right, on the capex, on the capital expenditure to do that. So what's that?
680.
80.
Yeah,
So
680.
all in 680 for a seller
250K,
finance 250.
yeah.
And here's the key too, because we're big on Burr. So our whole thing from day one is like, hey, we crunch the numbers, we're gonna do this game plan, get it up online, rent it, and then we're gonna turn around and do a cash out refinance to recoup all or most or more than all of our money on the so then it's, we love living in the land of infinite ROI, right? To where you own these income producing assets, leveraging other people's money, recouping that, and recycling the money and the money velocity on the money. So
It's a beautiful thing.
it's
So you got money into the deal up to 680. That money's coming back to you in 6 months to 2 years. You're getting all of it back, maybe with some friends. And then you're going to have something that's going to produce 250K net, 125 to you, 125 to the person that's running it. So talk to me about what is its value now that it's going to be creating 250K in net profit.
Are you talking about the ARV on the market value of the property?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, we would anticipate conservatively, well, because you can look at it 2 ways. If you look at it from a business assessment multiplier, I mean, versus just a real estate appraised property, land, and unit value, we could have some different numbers there. But on the business side, I mean, run the multiples on that on a 250 free cash, a year net, and where are we at? I mean,
2 million maybe?
Yeah.
at least minimum.
At least, right? Because that's like
Yeah.
10% returns 2.5.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So, and that's good, right? I mean, that's strong for what it is. And then on real property, just the land value itself and the improved properties for what they are now, I'll at least that as well, over 2 million. So I would say minimum 2 million,
Jeez.
realistically. So all in it, what was it? 680.
680.
So you pick up, even if it didn't, let's say it was 1.5 to be like crazy. I mean, that would be like crazy to me. I mean, it's easily can be justified worth at least 2 million with the comps and the data and everything that it is now about to be when we finish up these renovations here in a few weeks. So, even if it's that, let's just get crazy with it and say it's crazy low at 1.5. You're still almost picking up $1 million, in equity plus your cash flow. So it's
Dream deal.
And one other thing I want the listeners to know, because sometimes people listen to this and your listeners are all in different places. Some may be new, seasoned, all that. A lot of times people tune out when they hear deals like this, like, oh, they disqualify themselves or discount themselves. Like, I don't have the money or that. You got to hear the key we first started with. You don't need money. You don't need credit. You don't need experience in owning property. That was our students. They're 50-50 partners owning this. And so that's the number one key. Everybody has to get ingrained in their mind. Even though we preach this all the time and tell people this and give examples, people still, their conditioned mindset, the words come out of their brain that are already embedded in their heart and mind. And it's, wow, that's great, but I don't have money. We're like, are you hearing the words that are coming out of our mouth? You do not need any money. You do not need any credit. You do not need the experience and knowledge. You need to be just connected. Maybe you just found the deal. You brought the deal. You need to be connected with the person who has the knowledge, money, experience, credit, whatever. Yeah. And that's the key everybody needs to know. That's the differentiating factor we see from our students like them and many others and ourselves and you guys and everybody and people who stay kind of stuck and struggling and wondering and wavering and discouraged and frustrated. They're missing most times. That's one of the key disconnects that they've not shifted in their mind and in their vision and perspective yet is that. And this is practical. I know we're getting a little mindset, but that's really practical, right? You got to know that, because if not, you're missing your awareness. You're missing all the opportunities all day, every day that are all around you. You just don't have the glasses on with the lens to see it for what it can be. You don't have to have any money because you have access to limitless money because people are everywhere. So anyway, I'll calm down on that. But that's the number one key I want everybody to. This example case in point, and from anything we could ever talk about. Because if we miss that, then we're not, everything else we say, strategy, we're building on a sand foundation that's not going to last in results in their life and take actionable steps that actually line up and make these opportunities happen for people.
Absolutely. So this is incredible. On this one deal, you get over $800,000 in equity, and that's being conservative, right? So you might be at 1.3.
Yeah, we feel that's conservative. Yeah.
And on top of that, 250K net. And this is the first transaction you did with one of your students. And you just mentioned actionable steps. I would love to get into that next. It's like, what kind of strategies did you teach that student in order to find this deal and to bring it to you?
Well, we teach our students that they're only limited by their own creativity. And so I think a lot of investors, especially when they're first getting into the game, limit themselves because they're like, let me just get a little 2-1 or a little duplex and just get my feet wet. But with our partners in New Mexico, they were looking and looking. I mean, I can't even tell you, Alicia was so diligent. She stayed close to the fire in our community. She was in the Q&A. She was constantly celebrating and encouraging other people's wins, all the while she's got her hands to the plow, constantly trying to work out different deals that she would find. Everything was falling through. And we just kept telling her, Alicia, God has something so much bigger for you than you could even imagine. And so we helped them really expand their minds to understand that no deal is too big. And so that was vital because if they would have just had their eyes on a top 10 list of dreams they had for their family, and their number 10 dream was to have a little cabin with maybe a little pond and maybe like 3 acres. That was their 10th dream, their biggest one. And that's why we named it Number 10 Ranch in New Mexico. But they would be beyond excited to have that dream. And so if we hadn't expanded their territory of their mind to understand that it's limitless and you're only limited by your own creativity, they would have just looked far beyond, oh my goodness, this is 40 acres, 7 cabins. There's no way we can do that. We'll have to move on. And look at the price point. We can't handle that. And so that right there, the mindset is what takes the majority of people out of the game. And the thing is, the bigger the deal, the fewer eyes there are on the deal because it takes funding, because it takes partnership. And a lot of people are freaked out by that. And so this property, you guys, had actually sat on and off the market for, I think,
10 years.
10
He had tried to sell it for 10 years. Yeah.
This elderly dude who
Lived there
had
for
done
30
a lot of
years.
work on the cabins. He had built some of them. Some of them are around before he even purchased the property. And he was trying to sell it off not for 10 years, even hundreds of thousands of dollars less than we got it for. But then, once Alicia stumbled upon this property, then we really started to investigate and do our due diligence into, seeing if we could make the numbers work, if we could work out a seller financing creative structure that was a win-win for the seller and for us, what we wanted to do with the property.
Baby, that's so powerful and key. And I want to just add to that on the practical action steps that you all are asking. So one of the things we always teach is riches flow through relationships. It's actually not a real estate business.
That's right.
It's a people business.
100,000%.
So if you think you're trying to invest in real estate to be in real estate, you're mistaken. I promise you. It's a people business, not a property business. Property is the byproduct of the people behind the property that own it, that can fund it, that can renovate it, that can manage it, that you can partner with. So
that can bring you more deals.
Yeah.
That can bring you more relationships. That bring you more deals. That bring you more funding.
Totally. So from a practical sense, which they embodied, and this is why these things are happening, like we've taught them, in addition to what Camry said, expanding the mind, but also the practical steps of relationship. How are your communication skills? Where is your game at? Up your game on your people skills, relationship skills, investing in relationships, the true assets. What we call it, the assets behind the asset. So while you're focused on this asset, man, if I could get this house, I could make $100,000 a year. Well, or $200,000 a year on this, whatever. That might seem exciting, and it is exciting, but it's all relative. What's way more exciting is the asset behind that asset, the investor that owns another 50 rental houses that no one else knows about, that we can buy off market and you can partner and you can own, those kind of things. So it's like, don't get too narrow-minded and singular focused on the asset of the property, yes, look at that, do the numbers, do all that. But whether that transaction works out or not, really focus on investing on the asset behind that asset, which is the person behind the property. That's where your life, you do easier things happen in it. You collapse time in itself because things are faster and easier in that when you're in that focus, because you have to be focused on that in order for your actions, practical steps to follow that. Because what does that look like, practically speaking? Well, it's like, well, if you value relationships first, you're going to be at the RIA meetings. You're not going to make excuses not to show up at the RIA meetings, not to be in here with Tim and Matt, listen to their incredible content. And if you all don't know, which I'll just stop and say right now, they don't know we're going to say this, but they have coaching available and all kind of other things you guys need to know about from Tim and Matt, because I got to pause on what we're saying on the answer. The number one thing I would say on what are the actionable steps for them that made this deal happen, none of these other things we're talking about, the mindset we taught them and everything else, none of that would have happened if they didn't take the first step, which they invested in themselves to even get in our coaching so we could mentor them. So all of this other wouldn't have happened. We couldn't have enlarged their mind, helped them enlarge their minds and shown them how to do all these other things if they didn't do the first thing, which was invest in the realest real estate there is, you. The house that God built, right? So that's what they did, and that's what, you know, that's what's key, and then everything else flows from there. Is that helping? Is that making sense?
Yeah, let's talk about Alicia. Alicia is the name of the gal you partnered with, right? So what I'm hoping is that anybody listening might be like Alicia. They might be an agent or newer investor. They know that good things are out there. They don't know what those things look like. A lot of times there's just so much fear, so much like associated with maybe like the fact that they feel like that kind of wealth, 250K a year off of one property is get rich quick. Like that's a scheme. That's not real. So walk us through, like, what was it like talking with Alicia? Was she immediately sold? Was she skeptical? How did you get her over the edge? I've had people that are scared to do business with me because they think the numbers I'm saying are fake. Like when I bought my first 3 properties, it was $11,300 a month in rents. Like I retired essentially off of a one deal. You guys are talking about doubling my number. So freaking kudos. But how did you make that real for Alicia? And how could people listening know, like, this is no joke? Like you can do this.
Because number one, you and us are just 2 of many people. That's why real estate is the jam, because it's such a proven process. There is no debate. So anybody that's debating, they're just debating themselves. They're not debating. You can't debate the truth. It's too evident. There are too many people. So you just got to stop arguing with yourself, and you just got to get open and receptive to the truth that's so abundantly evident everywhere. I mean, your example, your life, our life, I mean, we're just examples, 1 example, 2 examples of infinite examples of any person from anywhere can plug into a proven process. Now, but to answer your question, the person listening right now that's like Alicia and like you probably were maybe, and we were, I was really scared. On my first property was $30,000 years ago before we met. I was scared. I was nervous. Look, welcome to the club. That's normal. But you can either hold on to your fear and live in a life of limitations, or you can be open to receiving what we're all talking about here today. And what Matt and Tim always talk about, which is the truth of simple, practical processes that are proven throughout history that literally people of every demographic, every background, that got open-minded, coachable, teachable, and willing to get out of their comfort zone and out of their own way, right? But this, I got to say this though, Matt, because it goes back to me, the core answer of what you're talking about and what we're trying to say here. This all sounds well and good, and the listener that's listening right now, if they're by themselves listening to this podcast and then they go try to conquer their fear and take action steps, how likely is that to happen? How many people that try, well, I tried real estate, I listened to the podcast, I read books, I went out and tried to do it. Man, I would say maybe 1% of those people will much at all in terms of results. Why is that? It goes back to our number one answer. You need a mentor. I've always had a mentor since before day one. We do now. We always will. It is the number one thing we could tell anyone to do. You guys are coaches and mentors. You all listening to this need to find out about what Tim and Matt have available in terms of coaching and mentoring. That's not the point of this. They didn't even tell us this. They didn't know we would say that, but I'm saying that genuinely, because if you don't have a mentor, you can hear us all day long, tell you the recipe. You know, we're really master chefs for you, right? Financial freedom, if that's what you're looking for in financial abundance, we're the master chef for you to stand beside. They're the master chef stand beside you saying, here's the recipe. But the thing is, if you read the master chef's recipe in a book or hear it on a video, then you're by yourself later in your kitchen trying to remember everything and go off your notes and everything and follow all the steps and ingredients. And then you're frustrated and discouraged on, well, yeah, I knew this wouldn't work. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy because you're like, yeah, it didn't work for me. No, it works for everybody who follows the right steps in the right order and all that. But without somebody in real time to help you, not only with the external, this is answering your question here on the practical steps, but the internal thing. Because Alicia would even say, she has said it. If it wasn't for us, she could have known all the how-tos, all the steps we gave her. She could have known all of that. And she never would have lasted in the process, never would have even had the mindset, none of that. She has said that herself. This isn't
over and over again. I kid you not, because we voice text back and forth on a weekly basis. And
you have to have that.
Every single time she's like, we just cannot thank you enough for giving us the gift of this life that we now have. It's a life beyond
overcoming
our
the fear,
dreams.
the new mindset. Is what you were saying is, how do you do that? To me, that's the way we've found in our own lives, in her life, and all the others. We've not found somebody who said, I read a book, listened to a podcast. I mean, this is great. You all should be listening to podcasts. Let everybody know about this podcast. That's great. That's part of it. We listen, we learn, we read books, we do that. We go to live events. But like, if that's all you're doing, then can you have success? Absolutely. But how much time and money and cost and learning curve and when is that going to be, right? Is this making sense? Like in the internal game, you're leveraging the mindset of the mentor to eliminate your fear and replace those limiting beliefs and mindsets right now in real time with them, and versus trying to change your mind on your own, which is a lot of people just aren't going to be able to, and they're going to quit and get discouraged and frustrated before seeing those break.
And also leveraging all of the successes of your mentor and all of the failures of your mentor, so that you don't have to go down those same exact roads that your mentor did. And for Alicia, being an interior designer and an incredible Airbnb super host around it, and was hosting for other investors, and she was seeing the cash flow come through and wanted to experience that for herself. So she already knew that it was possible, but it was very scary because there are so many unknowns. And so literally having us holding her hand step by step was everything. So as her coach, but also as a 50-50 partner, was essential, because we're essentially one-on-one coaching her anytime, every time, late at night when we have
for
to
free
make
as partners, right?
early in the morning, like nonstop over Christmas, all of these things. And so when you can really leverage and have that person to talk to when you're feeling like you're just over the edge and you don't know what you're doing, they're actually guiding you when you feel like you're on a journey where you're behind, because you're leveraging every single thing that they have to offer.
And you get that community and that partnership and so on and so forth. So there's a mentee-mentor relationship in this particular example, but it doesn't have to be that way. Like, one of the phrases we use a lot is who, not how. Can you maybe dispel, if you agree, can you dispel the myth that like I have to be a person that does everything versus I can have a specialty and kill it? Like, it seems like you guys have specialized in this deal. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Oh my goodness.
This is a great point you bring up.
So good, because the thing is, if we try to be just slamming at every single part of it, there's only one of us. Like, there's only one of me, only one of each of you. And so if we try to handle this and that, and then we're doing the design and we're going to be managing, like we'll maybe be able to handle one deal and then we're burnt out. But really being able to find excellent people to surround yourself with and create just a dream team, that is absolutely everything, because you can go so much further together. Maybe you could go faster out the gate by yourself, but very quickly you would burn out. And so that's really like taking the analogy of a wave. Like, we live 2 miles from the Gulf of Mexico, and you could take water in a pail and, I mean, that's pretty powerful. When you wing it around, it's got a lot of weight to it. But when you actually take the weight of the water in the Gulf of Mexico, those waves, even 2-foot waves, could straight knock you over. I mean, the power of it is is unbelievable. Tsunamis, like they take out skyscrapers if it's a big enough, strong enough wave. And so taking that to the positive, that's really what you want to create in your real estate portfolio and in your lifestyle, is having a network of people that are so powerful in their unique niches that when you come together, you can truly create transformation. And I'm not just talking about having, 1,000 doors or $1 billion worth, really what creating those funds can do when they're charged out into the different areas of need that you see in the world, or things that tug on your heart. This is about so much more than real estate. This is about Alicia being able to be home with her son, to focus on the things that are most important on her heart, to be able to bring her husband home from law enforcement so that he can be focused on the family and focused on doing what matters most to them, because God placed specific dreams and desires in each and every one of your hearts. And we just want to get the finances out of the way so that you can really do what God's placed on your heart.
Yeah, and you first have to identify, what are you good at? What do you want to be good at?
Yeah.
What do you want to specialize in? And how do you go ahead and refine and improve on the skill set that you already have, right?
Look at what's in your hand.
Yeah.
We're huge on that. What's in your hand?
The
What has
principle,
God given you?
the principle of prosperity is whoever he or she who is faithful with little will be made ruler over much. That's just, it's simple. It's the way life works. So the more diligent and faithful you are with what you already have in your hand, your time, talents, abilities, relationships, resources, the more diligent you are in stewarding that and investing that and allocating and directing that, the only thing that can happen is multiplication. Just look at nature. Without even breaking a sweat, all it does is multiply all day, every day. That's how we're supposed to be. We're human beings, not human doings. I've heard it said, and one of the things we say is too many times, too many of us, we're trying to do this, like Cameron was saying, do this, do that. I need to learn how to renovations. I need to learn design. I need to learn creative finance. I need to learn, and if we're trying to do, just listen to what I'm saying. Do. We're doing all over ourselves.
Nobody wants to do that.
Right?
Nobody does.
So, right? But when we learn to be who I'm created to be, what am I good at? I love people. I'm good at meeting people, building rapport, building relationships. And sometimes there's a disconnect. People think, well, what's the correlation? I need some kind of real estate relevant thing. And it's like, no, that is the real estate. The people, we already talked about that. So
relationships.
if you are good with people, you're a good communicator. People are drawn to you naturally. You are funny. This is going to be one of the, if this is the only thing you get from this session from us, this could be one of the keys, the biggest keys you could ever hear. Maybe you are naturally funny. Okay, that's a gift. Here's the thing. You think, well, how could that ever fit in real estate? It's one of the biggest things you could ever have. Why? That attracts people. What do people have? Money, deals, opportunities, partner. They have everything you need. So if you are people think, I need to become a money magnet. No, you need to become a person magnet, and money follows, right? So now, but it's not just money. What happens is you find out about opportunities no one else knows about. You find out about properties. You find out about, so
and they prefer you. That's
they're going to call you because they like you. They trust you. And I'm not saying like, oh, well, I am funny, so now you're going to over try to be extra funny. Like, be genuine, but also be growing, right? Don't. It's about, I know my sweet spot and my zone. Like, if I look at all the things that I can do a pretty good job or a great job or a decent job, if I have to do it, I know one of the top things, the highest, best use of my time personally and how I'm wired and what I love to do and when I feel most alive is meeting new people, deepening relationships with existing people, having conversations, listening to them, hearing their story, seeing how I can add value to them, their life, can introduce them to somebody. Now, as the byproduct, me investing in relationships, me building relationships, then it's like they say, what do they say? The world becomes your oyster. Because then it's just a matter of the opportunities become abundant. You get to pick the highest, best use of your time, talents, abilities, opportunities, partners, right? But maybe you're not that people person. Don't get discouraged on the other side of the coin and think, well, I'm not what you're describing, right, Matt, what you're bringing up. There's multiple examples. I'm just picking out one of the infinite examples. Maybe you're good at art. Maybe you're good at this. Through that gift, the greatest success book of all time, the Bible says, a gift opens the way for the giver.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that
And
gift is not just necessarily a physical thing, right? It's yourself, right? I mean, that's
and humor.
exactly. Well, one of the things that you're mentioning that I think is awesome is it ties into what we talk about in our business as an energy audit, where essentially we're constantly analyzing, do I have more energy when I do these activities or less, more or less, more or less? And then as you move in the direction of energy, like I mean, happiness and energy are not so, and it's like you might not even be good at the thing that you're energetic about, but at some point the energy itself will attract people to you because they want to be around the energy. And so, like, I love what you're saying.
Wow,
So
that's so powerful.
How much energy do you feel, to your point? How much energy do
That
you
is
feel
so
when you're
good.
laughing hard and it's so hilarious, right? So humor is a gift. People who are naturally, without even trying, like, people are attracted to that. Now, what does that mean? That includes the millionaires that have the money that will invest in your deals. It includes all these people. So just get in the rooms at your RIAs, get in there and just be you. Don't try to act like you know something.
Yes.
Don't try to that self-sabotages you. It slows you down. Be the genuine you. Don't worry about trying to be like somebody else. And the people that are meant to be and that you need to be connected with in the ways, it happens easier and faster with less effort because you're just being you and you're growing in your unique skills and you're growing your skills and talents, like you said, Matt, that are unique to you.
Exactly.
And then everything else gets attracted and interwoven through the relationships that you're building in the context of real estate, right? Get in the room with real estate investors and those people and build those relationships with the gifts that you have and your personality and all of that.
So you're brand new. First thought in your mind, is it, I got to go find my sugar daddy? Like, I got to go find the one person out there that if I connect with them, we're buying a deal that retires me. Is that a good idea? Bad idea?
It's the mentor. Brand new.
I
The
know,
first thought is
that
the
was my
mentor.
thought.
I
I
need
need to
who
find
is my
someone-
mentor? Who is the right fit
Yeah.
for me?
I don't know what I'm doing. There's so much more that I don't know than what I do know, but I know that I can hitch myself to the person who has the answers to the questions that I need in real time.
Yeah, because then the question comes up to the mentor that you just asked. Hey, now what's my first step? Because really, this is the step before the first step, if you want to call it that way. Positioning yourself with the mentor so you're leveraging experience so they can tell you what to do, what not to do, and why in a customized real-time relevancy to you personally. And then that question is going to come up.
That's
I'm
one
brand
of our
new,
most
mentor.
frequently asked questions.
Yeah, I'm brand new, mentor. What's my first step? Do I get the sugar daddy to fund all my deals? Do I look for the deal? And all the other first questions that a first person is going to have. But now you've got experiential knowledge speaking into that, not guesswork, theology, opinion, maybe so, hope so. It's proven solid experiential knowledge.
And the thing that's powerful about the mentor is, naturally as a first-time investor, a lot of people think, well, I don't have any money. Even though we tell them over and over and over again, they're like, should I probably get my funding, in order? Should I probably get my credit straightened around? And we're like, oh my goodness, listen, people, like,
should I get my credit straight first? Should I do this?
We're like, start looking into and finding properties that aren't for sale that nobody else knows about, and we'll get our ducks in a row. Say yes to the opportunity, right? But there has to be opportunity in front of you in order to say yes.
And
okay, I've got a
this,
question
Matt.
for you that I think is really, really pertinent, that I really want to make sure I get out there. So I've guided a number of people out of their jobs into a place where they became investors and now they're financially free. One of the struggles that I see that they have is the balance between patience and urgency. There's a time to be patient, a time to be urgent. Can you tell our audience, when is it time to be patient and to look for a better deal? And when's it time to take action?
Our answer might be a little, or mine, I don't know what comes to you, but might be a little different than what you just said. I believe it's both simultaneously.
Me too.
Really?
So how does that work? How does that manifest? How can you be patient and urgent at the same time?
Yeah, because to me, and I'm not disagreeing with you necessarily in the context of how we would define it in further discussion, but like,
Hold them both in your hands.
Yeah, to me, it's not an either or. It's a both and in a synergistic way, right? Because if I don't daily, I have a healthy, or I'm not going to take the best actions and make the most fruitful progress and results, right? If I'm just like, well, patience, I'm going to be patient, persevering someday, I'm in an all patient mode, patient perseverance. I'm just going to keep doing this and keep, but if I'm in, without the patience part, and if I'm just in urgency, then that can become anxious. the pressure, and it's not fun and all of that.
And getting in the wrong deals.
Absolutely.
Just trying to
Making
make a
emotional
square peg
decisions,
fit in a
all
round
of that. So I think it's both. It's kind of like this. Macro and micro exist simultaneously, right? In economics, in a market, you have your micro market, micro within the micro. I mean, we can dial it down to a neighborhood, to a zip code, to a town, to a So, I mean, I think it's the same thing for us as people. Mentally, we have a micro. It's like, okay, here are my immediate goals. Here's my big vision. Like you said, the macro is the big vision. I need patient perseverance to follow steps, keep learning as I go, reflecting on what I'm doing so that I can refine my action steps and have someone looking at what I'm doing to help me with the things that I don't know and what I can't even see.
And I think the thing is just what David said, patient perseverance, that's patience and urgency together, because it's that continuous forward motion.
The actions are from a place of healthy urgency.
Yes.
My activity.
Yes, but not from an area of scarcity,
Pressure.
not from FOMO, fear of missing out, anything like that, because that's going to push people into, making offers that are too high, or if they're in an
Emotions.
auction. We were actually answering a question yesterday about an auction. You don't have a top end, you're just going to keep going, and then you're just going to be so excited because you won that bid, and then you actually look to see what you paid for that baby for, and you got to put the down payment down whether you can fund it or not. And so yeah, I really do think that it's both, and having the constant mindset coaching is really where it's at. On an island by ourselves, like no man is an island, and we just let our thoughts go, and it's like, oh my goodness, if I don't take action, when you have that unhealthy sense of urgency, there's like an air of desperation. You can kind of like smell it on
stressful
people.
and anxious.
And a seller sometimes, like you can just really weird people out when you have too much. And then the same thing with patience. If you're just hanging out by a river and you're like, oh, the right deal is gonna find me, like no baby, it's not gonna find you. You've got to go put the feet and legs that God gave you into motion and do what's right in front of you.
And I think the reason you said that is because from your experience, you've walked people through the process. So you see that's common to the process. So just know when you feel these emotions, like everybody goes through this. That's why you need a Tim, you need a mentor and a coach that's been there, done that, to walk you through. Are you getting too much in pressure, scarcity mode, anxious, like urgency? And you need to like just step back, help them, give you the big picture, and look, have that urgency to take action. Let's get it. Like, let's go, but enjoy the journey. Approach it with excitement, not pressure and stress.
And I think it's that constant course correction,
Yeah.
right? Like, because if we didn't, when we drive, like we're constantly correcting, or we'd be off in a ditch somewhere. Same thing with a pilot or a rocket or any of those things. It's these little course corrections. And so we've got to constantly be navigating. Do I need to like ease up a little bit on the patience and be a little bit more direct, or do I need to kind of chill out on that and be more patient in the process?
Totally. It kind of reminds me almost like of the military, right? You're training, but there's a point where you go to war. Maybe it's not now, but once it's there, you got to be ready. You got to go. So you guys have an event coming up in Florida. So if you don't mind talking a little bit about that, like you guys are going to be with Pace Morby and some other really great guests. So talk about what are you going to be doing?
Yeah. Come to the #1 beach in the country, rated number 11 in the world is rated Siesta Key Beach down here. We'd love to have you all. It's coming up next month, February 19th through 21st. We've got a stellar lineup. You just want to get in the room. Like, I mean, if you can, we'd love to have you. These people that you're going to not only learn like behind the curtain, crazy strategies you've never heard of, how to acquire as many properties as you want, no money out of pocket, all those things that you want to do. You're going to be with the best in the business from across the country. Pace Morby, a whole lineup. You can find the details on the site. I'm sure they'll drop a link somewhere for you guys and gals. But yeah, I mean, these folks are people who have gone from starting at scratch to stratospheres that are just the top of the top, but they're approachable. You're going to have intimate access to them. Strategies, but the most important thing, full circle, what we talked about today, the new relationships you're going to get by getting in the room physically. Because the question, well, why can't I just watch a replay or watch videos? Again, you can do that, but relationships happen in real rooms, in physical realities. So that's an opportunity for you to come. You're going to have Pace Morby. You're going to have some of the #1 broker in the world years ago with Remax. He's a friend and business partner of ours, Rob. He did over $1 billion in a year in revenue in his real estate businesses. He's mentored countless agents from scratch. If you're an agent or broker, even in addition to, or different from being an investor, maybe if you're an agent or broker, you know, you're going to have intimate access to one of the best in the world in terms of showing you strategies that he's mentored agents from scratch, from literally waiting tables at restaurants to making over $1 million a year in commissions as agents. So like, if that interests you, I would be there if I were you for that. And many other people we don't have time to even go through, but their bios are on the website. They're all incredible in their own right. We have Ruby. She's a newer investor, only been doing it, started from scratch like 4 years ago. She makes over $1 million a year on autopilot, flipping houses, working like 2 to 3 hours a week, making over $1 million a year on by systems with zero ad spend, zero marketing and ad spend dollars. How? A system she created. She's showing her they're all showing their recipes, their best strategies, right? Which are really is worth millions of dollars, right? So for pennies, you're able to come.
And we have America's Got Talent winner of season 16, Dustin Tavella, who is
performing
just
mind-blowing,
so incredible. And this event is about so much more than real estate. We really want to help propel you into the destiny that God has for you. And I truly believe that it's going to impact every area of your life. So don't miss it. This is the conference of 2023 for Kingdom Wealth through real estate.
Awesome. David, Katie Marie, thank you so much. One of the reasons I was so excited to have you on is 250K net story, because there's so many people out there that are working so hard to do transactions as an agent or as an investor, but they're not getting the benefits. They're not recognizing that with a shift of strategy, with a shift of mindset, they can go from doing 10 to 30 deals a year, barely getting by, to one deal that retires them forever. So thank you for being willing to share the details, the stories, for learning these things, for doing these things. So we appreciate you so much. So guys, that if you're listening, take action, form a plan in the next 7 days for how you can retire on a single deal. Share it with somebody you know so they can hold you accountable, because freedom's acquired one action at a time. And before you know it, guys, you will be living a life of freedom. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll catch you guys on the next.
Bye, everyone.